Chris Gelser here with
Matt Howell.
On this 304th episode of The First Run, the longest running film podcast nobody watches or listens to. Matt and I checked out Green Room, the latest film from Jeremy Saulnier, who gave us the intense and cannot be missed Blue Ruin. Well, he's back with Green Room. And then we're also going to talk about the end. It's over. Our marathon of 80s films, reliving our youth, ends today with WarGames. And we're all going to go through our awards ceremony, or the runners, or I'm still working on the name, obviously, for that. But we're going to tell you what we think, Matt. We're going to do the best 80s moment out of the series, the best picture overall, the best performance, the worst one, the most offensive scene or thing that we saw in these films, worst picture as well, and then we're going to rank them from 10 to 1.
Okay. Very exciting.
So it's a lot. Yes. So I'm excited. Let's get rolling. Let's hear a clip from Green Room.
Gentlemen, you're trash. Things have gone south. It won't end well.
You can't keep us here, man. You gotta let us go.
We're not keeping you. You're just staying.
Shoot who is left. Let him bleed.
Get ready to run.
Here we go.
Careful now.
This'll be over soon, gentlemen.
Matt, so here we go. Anton Yelchin, Imogen, Poots, Alia, Shaukat, and a little-known Shakespearean actor named Patrick Stewart. So I do a lot of the talking. Why don't you tell the kids at home, what's Green Room about? What are we walking into?
All right, so Anton Yelchin, Alia Shaukat, and a couple other dudes, they're in a punk band, struggling for the music, DIY punk band, something that, Ian McKay would just really love, and they're traveling through the wilds of Oregon, and they get desperate for a show, and they go and get a show in a what turns out to be a white supremacist neo-Nazi punk club. And then on their way out, they witness the aftermath of a murder, and they get kept. Or they're not being kept there, they're just staying, as they say. And
for their own safety.
For their own safety. And evil Captain Picard, who, Mirror Universe Captain Picard is actually the head of the neo-Nazis.
He does have a goatee too, doesn't he?
He has a beard. So, he's got facial hair. So that means
he's got the beard. All right.
He is Captain Picard's evil Mirror Universe ancestor.
Yeah, he's the head of our ragtag group of misunderstood skinheads.
Yes.
Formulating a plan to figure out what they're going to do now that they have witnesses to this murder. Mm-hmm. Matt, I feel like I'm shortchanging it if I call it a horror film. What do you think about that?
I think that's true. It's definitely a it's definitely a suspenseful thriller. But I wouldn't necessarily call it a horror film. It's not like a horror film in the classic sense. It's kind of a noir potboiler slasher movie.
Yeah, and it's definitely got its gore. Let me tell you, these people went to the Gasparneau Irreversible School of Gore. It's not a lot, but when it hits, it feels very real, and it's very visceral. That's how I would describe this film, really. It gets to you to your core. That's how I felt. I don't know about you. It chills you to the bone when you're watching this film. And one of the brilliant things about it too, though, is that for me, Matt, it just totally circumvents your expectations. Every time you think the film's going to zig, it zags. And I absolutely love that about it. It's exceptionally well written. It's very smart. There's a lot, and he does a great job of not just portraying the skinheads as just dumb kind of, they're not just paper foils to just enact this torture onto these kids. Mm-hmm. There's a lot more going on here. There's and not just with this. Now the skinheads are bad. Let's be clear. All right, I'm not saying that there's like any real emotional
with the Shakespearean actor.
That's right. There's not a lot of emotional depth, though. Perhaps with one of the skinheads, Macon Blair, who is the star of Blue Ruin. If you haven't seen it again, please check it out as soon as possible. He maybe is the one struggling the most with what's happening, but really, just there's a humanity to this film which I think really aids to the horror and makes it that much more difficult to sit through.
Yeah, and can we? I mean, it's incredibly lean. I mean, there's no wasted minutes in this film. I mean, and honestly, once it really gets kicking into high gear, it just starts popping left and right. If I could snap my fingers, I would do it. But yeah, it's just crazy. Just like once it really starts, like just bodies and just stuff just starts happening left and right, and it's like, man, you just do not know what is going to happen throughout the duration of this film.
Yeah, there's this. I always have this thing, like if I ever got attacked by a dog, the first thing I'm going to do is I put my forearm up, right? So then the dog latches onto the forearm, and then I can try and do something. But man, watching this film makes me think that's totally just not worth even trying. It's over. It's absolutely over for me, no matter what.
Yeah, it's brutal stuff, man. Brutal stuff.
It is. That's what I have my note here. It's vile, dirty, and unrelenting throughout the whole thing. It's just and Stewart. I can't praise Patrick Stewart enough for this film. You think, the image you have of this guy, and he's also too. He's not quite in the Takei range, right? But he has like a newfound internet celebrity. Him, and probably mostly because of his friendship with Ian McKellen. But his matter-of-factness is what makes him such an effective monster in this film. He's just a guy who needs to do what he needs to do to preserve the way of life that he has. And he's just, all right, well, this is what we're going to do. Let's stay calm. You do this, you do that, and we're going to kill all these kids. I mean, it is absolutely chilling. For me, too, I totally was able to get past the fact that, hey, that's Patrick Stewart. You just get kind of sucked into just the subtle evil that this man just wreaks on the screen. I absolutely loved it. I don't know. It's weird to say, but not this time of year or this genre of film. But I think this is one of the best films I've seen all year so far. Granted, we're only a weekend in April, but I'm telling you, man, this thing is just like you said. It's lean and it's mean and it's a punch in the gut. It's some of the most effective, visceral storytelling I've seen on screen in a very long time.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it was excellent. Since I started doing the show again, I've caught a lot more films, and this is by far one of the best ones I've seen all year long. It's fantastic. I would encourage everyone to go out and see it right away.
I'm not sure how it's going to be around, right? Because it's not actually a big widescreen release. It's not like it's not a Captain America, right?
No.
Civil War. So.
No.
But I'm with Matt, too. I think you got to check this out as soon as you can. And I think in the theater adds an element to the claustrophobia because you do get that feeling throughout the film. First, we're trapped in a green room. Maybe we're trapped other places, too. Maybe even when we're outside, we're still terrified. I don't know. I don't want to say too much. If you really should get a chance, if you get to see it in the theater, I think it really adds an added dimension of unease while you're in there and watching all this carnage unfold on the big screen. But again, the violence and the gore, though it's intermittent, is shocking. All right, I'm warning you now. It's very realistic looking and it's very disturbing. So it's not one of those kind of what do you call it? What's the Hostels where everything's just kind of over the top, right? This is like I said, the Gaspar Noé school where everything looks exceptionally realistic. So
yeah, man, A24, man, Studio A24, they're on a roll. First The Witch, now this.
Even before that, a most violent year, I tweeted at them the other day after seeing The Green Room that they are quickly becoming my favorite studio. The stuff that they've been churning out for the last few years, man, top notch.
Yeah.
So kudos to A24. Pretty much at this point, this keeps up. I'm just going to say A24. All right, I'm watching it. I'm in.
It's fair. I'm right there with you.
So if you've got a chance to see The Green Room, please shoot us an email at feedback@thefirstrun.com. We'd love to hear your thoughts. I can't imagine you disagree with us. Whew, this thing's intense. It's a hell of a ride. You're really going to enjoy it if you like that kind of thing. Matt, it's coming up on Blu-ray and DVD this upcoming Tuesday. That's May 10th. Possibly one of the best films of last year. Or is it this year? It was this year? When did Deadpool come out?
This year.
Yeah. Well, it's coming out on Blu-ray and DVD, my friend. Blu-ray, DVD, digital copy, and ultraviolet streaming pass. You buy it from Best Buy, you get a steel book. Target's got some postcards and some exclusive packaging. You get some deleted and extended scenes, gag reel, commentary by Tim Miller and some guy named Rob Liefeld, who may or may not be responsible for the most horrific comics in the 90s. Ryan Reynolds, as well as the writers of the film. That's a separate one with Reynolds and the writers. And then something called Deadpool's Fun Sack.
Can't wait.
There you go. Lauren Conrad, is it? The woman from The Walking Dead? Well, her horror film, The Boy, is being released as well. I did not get to check up with that one. Maybe if it hits Netflix, I'll check it out. But I got to admit, I don't know. There was no real pull for me to see it. But creepy dolls are always great, and they always freak me out. So, Michael Moore's latest documentary, and air quotes, I'm not making a political statement. I'm just saying his latest film, Where to Invade Next, is being released. You can check that out. New to Blu-ray, Criterion is giving us the Bogart film In a Lonely Place, the new 2K digital restoration. New audio commentary featuring film scholar Dana Poland. A 1975 documentary about the director Nicholas Ray. Some other stuff as well. So if you're a fan of In a Lonely Place, you can pick that up on Blu-ray from Criterion. The John Lithgow film Manhattan Project is being released, I believe, by Kino Lorber as well. And then, of course, I don't know if you know this, Matt. I may have mentioned this a few times. My grandfather grew up with Ernest Borgnine. Did you know that?
No, really? I did not know that. You have not mentioned that as far as I can remember.
Yeah, they grew up together in Hamden. And one day I met him. I was at a Pizza Hut with my grandmother, with my sister. I was a little kid, and my grandfather told me this story once, because at the time, Airwolf was on this TV. That's what prompted all this. And he was there at the Pizza Hut. This is in Wallingford on Route 5. So everybody knows where this is. What I'm talking, right across from the, right across from the mobile station.
Right.
You know what I'm saying. So
yeah, of course.
Right off of 15.
Yeah. Continue, please.
You're with me. Okay. There's a tire store in the same. Anyway, he was there, and I went to talk to him. I said, "My grandfather says he knows you, that you guys grew up together." And he asked me his name, and I told him. And he goes, "Oh yeah." We talked for a couple minutes. He was in town for his granddaughter's wedding or something. I don't remember what it was. But he validated it. My grandfather did indeed grow up with Ernest Borgnine.
Wow, very cool.
So there you go. Academy Award winner, Ernest Borgnine.
Did you ask him to pop a sunburst?
No.
Did that go over your head? Not a huge Airwolf?
Yes, it did.
Not a huge Airwolf fan?
I was a huge Airwolf fan. Oh, is that when the... Okay.
The little things which shoot out the bottom?
Shoot out. Right. Yeah, no. Anyway, the reason why I bring all this up, Airwolf is being released on Blu-ray, the complete series, a 14-disc set. So you got all of these episodes, and it's going to be crammed up, and I think it's from Kino as well. I don't know, or studio. It's one of these crap studios, so don't expect much in regards to special features or quality. But you can pick up Airwolf on Blu-ray now, the complete series. Your streaming pick of the week, Matt. I'm going with Sherlock: The Abominable Bride has hit Netflix. This is the latest from the Benedict Cumberbatch, Martin Freeman Sherlock series from Stephen Moffat. I got to see this in the theaters a couple months ago, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. If you're a fan of the Sherlock series, check it out. It's wonderful. And then your straight to DVD pick of the week, Matt. I'm going to go with Ginger Dead Man 3, Saturday Night Cleaver. The cookie.
Right.
You ready? The cookie mini murderer, the Ginger Dead Man, is back again, and this time he's leaving it all on the dance floor. He is the ultimate roller boogeyman. After escaping from jail, the Ginger Dead Man finds himself in a time machine headed for 1976. He arrives in the midst of a roller boogie contest, but the party's just getting started for the infamous cookie killer. Taking in the sights of the beautiful roller girls, Ginger Dead gets back to his old murderous ways, causing more bloody mayhem than ever before, but this time on the dance floor. It's Saturday Night Cleaver time, so you better keep staying alive. If you're not familiar with Ginger Dead Man, it's kind of like the Chucky thing where a serial killer inhabits the body of a gingerbread man.
Sounds like it's high cinema.
Yes. I just like the idea that he breaks out of jail and then finds himself in a time machine. It's a cross with Primer, or Primer, however it's supposed to be pronounced. So I'm sure Shane Carruth would love to hear me say that. Matt, are you ready to move on?
I am ready to move on.
Let's move on. Let's hear a clip from WarGames.
David Lightman was a master at computer games. A fast thinker.
Oh, David! Maybe you could tell us who first suggested the idea of reproduction without sex.
Your wife?
Get out, Lightning.
And a promising student at an old game.
Hi.
With an electronic twist.
Are those your grades?
Yeah. I don't think that I deserved an F. Do you?
You can go to jail for that.
Only if you're over 18. This computer company is coming out with these amazing new games in a couple of months. And I want to play those games. Wow.
What?
We got something.
He found the right code word to play the game,
We're in.
but it was the wrong computer.
Shall we play a game? How can I ask you that?
How about global thermonuclear war?
Fine.
All right. What the hell? They're trajectory headings for multiple impact re-entry vehicles.
What does that mean?
I don't know, but it's great.
All stations, this is Crystal Palace.
I wonder if I should use my subs.
22 Typhoon-class submarines departing Petropavlovsk.
What in the hell's happening here?
Oh my god.
Shall we play?
Man, I had no idea that in my head, how I thought DEF CON, the whole DEF CON program went.
Okay.
I forgot. Was inspired by WarGames. Whenever I think about that, that's the image I think of, is when they go from DEF CON 5 to 4 to 3, like the sign and how it lights up and changes. In my head, that's exactly what happens at NORAD or wherever the hell they're supposed to be. I don't remember.
Okay. Yeah, it's NORAD.
All right. I just thought that was funny that that's where that image in my head came from. I think I kind of had forgotten that. If you're not familiar with WarGames, Matthew Broderick is this punk kid. No, he seems like a lot of fun. Ali Sheedy, of course. And the two of them kind of were messing around one day, and they accidentally break into a NORAD computer and basically start this computer playing these war games to blow up the world. And what, unbeknownst to them, is that it's actually may happen.
Mm.
Now, this is, I think, one of the classics of the 80s, right? I think this is one of the ones that is held up as one of the best films of the 80s. Actually, a couple Oscar nominations. So, Matt, let me ask you, the big question we've been asking on all of these, WarGames, did that one hold up for you?
Yes and no. The no, I'm not going to hold against it too much. It's reliant on kind of cutting edge technology at the time, which never ages well in a film. So just, them like literally directly calling a computer. It's not the internet. Everything's, the computers are basically the size of my house, kind of thing. Like clicks and magnetic tapes and stuff. And, that portion of it, obviously it hasn't aged well. So you kind of got to go in with it. It's something that's going to seem hokey to modern audiences. But what I did like about it, when I forgot about, is just kind of how well it captures kind of that whole Cold War paranoia thing. And this thing is basically Skynet. Like the whole point in the beginning about how they're going to give control to this artificial intelligence and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, man, this is the Terminator, like all over again, and it's just interesting, especially now with all the kind of artificial intelligences that are being created now. It's just kind of interesting to see this kind of all play out from an 80s perspective.
So you think, now let's be clear, James Cameron clearly ripped off Fern Gully for the Avatar films.
Mm-hmm.
Are you comfortable saying that he basically just took the premise of WarGames and just extrapolated it by including a robot sent back in time to kill people?
Did WarGames come out before the Terminator?
Yeah, because Terminator is 85, right? And WarGames is 83.
Okay, I thought Terminator was 84, but
is it 84?
I think it's 84.
Take a look at that. Either way, it's still earlier.
Yeah.
84 it is. Nicely done.
Okay. So then, yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. Basically the whole first 20 minutes is about how you can't trust the guys in NORAD sitting at the button to launch the missiles when you need them to, so you got to give it over to a machine who will just follow its orders without questioning. And basically the machine takes over. So, interesting.
Damn you, Cameron. Anyway, all right. So that really didn't go anywhere, everybody. I apologize for that. Well, there's a couple things I want to talk about with WarGames, Matt. An absolutely dreadful score. Even by 80 standards, I was really cringing at times with how poor some of the music is in it. But for me, you know what? MVP for me, Dabney Coleman. Can I tell you, watching this film made me just... Dabney, one of the better character actors of our time, One of the films that didn't make the cut for the show was Cloak and Dagger. He plays a much more prominent role. I was disappointed by how little he's in WarGames. I thought he had a bigger role in it, remembering it, but he really doesn't. And so I was disappointed with that. But I've always loved seeing him on the screen, so it's good to see Dabney. Broderick is solid. Sheedy's great. You know, it doesn't feel 80s cheesy at all. I think the only cheese is inputted by ourselves looking back, like you said, with the technology. When he fires up that computer and he puts the handset from the phone down and pulls up that floppy disk that's the size of a dish, you know, a dinner plate, and it's you're right. That stuff does not hold up at all. But outside of that, yeah. But another thing too, I thought, you know, this thing was like a who's who of 80s character actors. There are a ton of people in this film that would go on to do other things, or were just, you know, popular at the time. There are a lot of videos. Oh yeah, that guy. But one thing I didn't realize, Michael Madsen's in this film.
Really, I didn't notice.
I saw it in the credits. I was trying to figure out where he was. He put a guy named Lieutenant Steve Phelps, but I can't remember who that was. But I didn't realize that Madsen was in this thing. So that was interesting. But still, so yeah, for me, it did hold up. I actually really enjoyed it. I think it's one of the better films of the marathon. And I think it has one of the best it ain't quite over yet endings of a film, especially during that time. You know, just when you think everything's all set and how it handles it. And then the ultimate ending itself is really good too. So I really enjoyed that. I got to tell you one thing, man. I'm fairly confident that during the Reagan era, we were never at DEFCON 5. I'm pretty sure. We were running at 4 most of the time at a minimum.
Yeah, you're probably right.
But still, either way, I really enjoyed it. It was fun. Out of all the films we've seen so far, and we'll get up into that in the next segment, I think this is one of the better ones that we visited. And this one totally, for me, it totally held up outside of the technology stuff. But what are you going to do? You can't really do anything about that.
Yeah, I agree. It was pretty good. I enjoyed it.
Well, I'm glad. You know, it's good to go out on a high note, especially after some of the crap that we've been enduring through this thing.
Seriously.
Especially last time.
Terrible taste.
I'm glad we're not going any deeper, because I'd hate to see what else that unearthed that I ended up realizing is absolute crap.
This is true. But I mean, in all fairness, I mean, it's not like, you know, we left the things that we know still hold up. Like there's no Ghostbusters, there's no Ferris Bueller, like things like that. We just kind of left off. So this is the deep cuts.
One for me,
the deepest of cuts.
Yeah, one for me that worries me is like Dream Team. I remember thinking Dream Team was absolutely hilarious, and I'm fairly confident there's not going to be a laugh in that thing if I were to watch it again.
It's not even ringing a bell for me. I don't even know what that is.
So Michael Keaton, Peter Boyle, Christopher Lloyd, and I can't remember the other guy. Stephen First. They're a bunch of mental patients, and they go to watch a Yankee game, and they're
yes. Yeah, there's not going to be any laughs in that. I do remember this. Yes.
There you go. All right. So it's best. Let's just move on.
Let's just get into this.
So let's get into the runners, the TFR awards. They're the categories again, Matt. I'm not sure how you want to do this, because we're going to do do you want to do you want to rank them first, or do you want to? I don't know how to do this, because
if we rank them, then you're going to know what our best and worst are.
Exactly. So, and those are going to kind of go away, right? Yeah. All right. So we'll start off then with I don't know. Let's go with the worst picture. You want to do the worst one?
Sure.
Out of all of them?
Yeah. I'm guessing we're gonna have the same one, but the worst film of this was Spies Like Us for me. Not funny, just
hands down,
painful, brutal to watch.
Yeah, I can't understand. If you want to hear our full thoughts on this, just check out last week's show. But I can't figure out how this happened. I mean, it's got a fairly strong group behind it. John Landis, Chevy Chase, Dan Aykroyd, written by Aykroyd and a couple other people. You know, but it's an unmitigated disaster, this thing.
It's terrible.
And it's not funny. It's not funny at all. It is horrible. Absolutely horrible. I wish I'd never seen it. Thanks a lot, Dan. And John Landis. I mean, that guy did American Werewolf in London, for Christ's sake.
Did National Lampoons.
Yeah, I don't. All right, whatever. Everybody, I guess he gets a few clinkers in there. All right, Matt. So why don't we move on to the best performance? What do you have as the best performance out of all the films we saw?
It's a bit of a dark horse, but I stand by it. I'm going to say Dan Schneider, who played Little Ricky Smith in Better Off Dead. That is an Oscar-worthy performance as far as I'm concerned.
Wait a minute. Who's Rudy? Why am I blanking on this?
He's the creepy neighbor who doesn't say more than like maybe 3 lines in the entire film.
That's right.
Yeah.
Didn't we? When we talked about it too, didn't I say something like he deserved an Oscar for that performance?
Yes, he is amazing in that movie. I love that guy. After watching, I forgot how great Dan Schneider is as Ricky Smith in Better Off Dead.
You know what? You're right. You changed my mind. I had something else down, but I had forgotten how much I loved his performance in that film. I knew there was something I was missing, but that's entirely right. It is one of the greatest performances of the 80s. You have to watch it because what he's able to portray, because he's a really weird, bordering on rape, not quite rapist, but still kind of sad. He brings a depth of emotion and sadness that you rarely see on the screen. You have to. Yeah, that's right. I'm changing mine. I went back and forth on this one, Matt. I originally just had, just because I had to work it in somewhere, of course, as Bowie, as Jareth in the Goblin, as the Goblin King in Labyrinth. And I went back and forth with Nicholson as well as the Joker. I initially wasn't going to involve Batman in this at all. In fact, my top 10 list doesn't have it because we had 11 films because that was a last-minute addition.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't part of the original run, but we included it because we were talking about Batman versus Superman.
Right.
So I had Nicholson's Joker on there too. I think that was interesting for me because I was worried going back that it would really fall apart for me, and it actually was better than I remembered. So, all right. So that's that. What do we got left? Let's go with worst performance. What is the worst performance out of all the films we watched, Matt?
There are a lot to choose from, but I'm going to stick with Spies Like Us. I'm going to go with Chevy Chase. I could not stand Chevy Chase throughout the entirety of that film. Dan Aykroyd, not much better, but he was ever so slightly better. So I'm going to go with Chevy Chase is absolutely the worst performance of this little run here.
Yeah, it's like everything that you don't like about Chevy Chase is infinitely magnified in this film.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I think possibly one of the most just not disturbing, but just not upsetting, just like eye-rolling is the test-taking scene with him is just so bad that, but still not mine. I had to go with Val Kilmer as Mad Mardigan and Willow.
Even other than his redheaded future wife, she was pretty bad too.
Ms. Wally was pretty bad too, but Val, I hated him so much in that film. I want to blame Ron Howard, I think, for the most part, but he is so it's not so much a bad performance as it is the most annoying performance that I think I saw throughout this entire marathon.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, it just oh god, it just grated on me every time because he was supposed to be the comic relief that wasn't remotely funny. His one-liners were horrible. His delivery was choppy. His hair was weird. His wig, whatever that I don't know. It just every time he was on screen, I noticed myself getting angry.
Getting angry? Wow.
I was like, no. And I like Val Kilmer. I love Val Kilmer in Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. He is absolutely brilliant in that film. One of my favorite Mammoth films, Spartan. He does a great job. Not everybody can handle the Mammoth direction, that stilted line delivery that he demands. Though I got to admit, I think the best person to do it is Chiwetel Ejiofor in Red Belt. You want to see somebody handle Mammoth's dialogue, man. He knocks it out of the park. He does a great job. Either way, though, Val Kilmer's Mad Mardigan is the worst performance for me.
Okay.
So what do you think, Matt? Do you want to do what's left? We got, I guess, all we got left is best picture in 80s moments. I guess we got to go with 80s moment.
And we have most offensive moment too, which I really want to talk about.
Okay, well, I think we should do 80s moment because I think most offensive should go right before best.
Okay, so the most 80s moment that I had, I really wanted to go with this one particular scene, but I'm going to talk about it later. So I didn't want to go too heavy on this film. So just for me, it's the scene in Flight of the Navigator where the kid is watching. He's in NASA. He's watching MTV. Doesn't get it. Sarah Jessica Parker comes in, talks about name drops all of the 80s pop culture, and then the food robot comes in. It's got all of the kid trifecta. It's got a robot. It's got pop culture that somebody doesn't understand, and it's got Sarah Jessica Parker. It's really, you cannot get more 80s than that.
No, you're right. It is probably a better answer than mine, too. I ended up, I don't know if it's because I just most recently saw it, but I ended up just with Matthew Broderick hooking up those computers. I would give it a tie with Weird Science. It's the same thing. It's the technology thing and how it all works, And probably if I, you know what, bullet gun to my head, I may have to go Weird Science, just but how patently ridiculous the use of computers were in that film to create the woman hooking up the diodes, whatever it is, to the Barbie doll.
Yeah.
When they do the breast size changes, I mean, all that stuff is so vintage 80s stuff that I don't think you would see nowadays. And the fact that how they had the computer, so the war game stuff with the computer stuff is passable. Like to think technology, that's pretty much what you did then. But the Weird Science just takes it and then just blows it up entirely. So I am going to go with the Weird Science creation of our female.
All right. Very good. So the most offensive moment, Chris.
Yeah.
I think we might have the same one.
Think so? What do you got?
I got Lori Singer getting the crap beat out of her and nobody cares multiple times in Footloose.
Yeah, that was... Go ahead.
She gets the crap kicked out of her by her boyfriend. Kevin Bacon shows up and is like, let me look at that. Like, puts it on her chin. Is like, you're fine, kid. And she's like, just gotten smacked around. It was, I think John Lithgow smacks her around some. Lori Singer gets beat up a lot in Footloose.
Her boyfriend too, right? Didn't he push her around all too? Yeah.
You have that fight under the bleachers, like he's literally like punching her in the face.
Yeah, that's right. Cold cocks there. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, it has to be. Listen, for me, it was tight with the liberal use of the derogatory term for gay people in Monster Squad. But I did have to go with the domestic abuse over and over again. And everybody, you're right. Everybody just saying, all right, well, hey, dust yourself off, kid. We're all right.
She's a little mouthy. It happens, right?
Listen, I know you got a black eye and you got a tooth knocked out, but I need to dance. Do you understand?
I just got
priorities.
Yes, that actually also might double as the most 80s scene in the entire thing.
That is true, man. That is a good one. Yeah, no, I agree with you entirely. That's what we get. That's what we have here. Wow, that was really horrible. And here we are laughing. It's horrible. Poor Lori Singer.
It's only because Lori Singer played her character as someone who's certifiably insane. That's what also makes it funny.
That's true. All right, so what do you got, Matt? That's it. We're at the best picture, I should say, right? What do you think was the best film of this marathon? Let's go through it again. I'm just going to run through them, all right?
Okay.
Just so the kids know what we watched. Okay. We did Masters of the Universe. That's what we started with, right? And then we had Willow. We just did Spies Like Us, Flight of the Navigator, Footloose, Weird Science, WarGames, Better Off Dead, Monster Squad, and that's it, right? That's everything. And then, of course, we had Batman, and then Labyrinth. Hello. Jeez, how did I forget Labyrinth? And then Batman 1989, which, again, I did not include because it was a late edition. So what do you got?
So my favorite out of all of these by far that held up the absolute best was Better Off Dead for me. Absolutely fantastic film. And I really wanted to put in the whole ski race as the most 80s thing, but I kind of backed off a little bit for my gushing for Better Off Dead. But classic, it still holds up, still funny. I mean, dark as hell, but funny movie.
Yeah, I agree. It was my number one as well. Better Off Dead, I think, was the best film of the whole marathon. It was because it's so... I think my favorite thing about it was my theory that I feel like the film takes place in a parallel universe. Because there's a lot of weird stuff going on. Like when the mom cooking the thing with the tentacles coming out of it, and that they live in the state of North California. Like there's a lot of weird things. So this hyper realized weird kind of anyway. Yeah, I think it's the best film out of all of them we saw too as well. So I have to agree with you.
All right. So what's the ranking? What's the ranking, Chris?
All right, so I'll start us off, and you can go. So,
okay.
Obviously, Spies Like Us is worst. That's my 10. I don't think there's any way around it. Number 9 for me was the botched attempt to cash in, and that's Masters of the Universe.
Okay.
8, this may hurt you a little bit, Willow.
Okay.
Flight of the Navigator at 7. Monster Squad at 6. Weird Science 5.
Okay.
I'm going Footloose at 4. Labyrinth at 3, and then WarGames, and then obviously Better Off Dead.
Okay. All right. So I put in Batman into this list, so let's just full disclosure here. So Spies Like Us is number 11. Flight of the Navigator was number 10. Masters of the Universe, it was so bad it amused me a little bit more than the Flight of the Navigator, so I pushed it up the list a little bit. And then, sorry, Chris, Labyrinth was the next one. Just couldn't get behind it.
Listen, we all know it's because of my affection for Bowie. Even I can admit that.
Then Weird Science, Monster Squad, Willow, WarGames, Batman, Footloose, and then Better Off Dead.
Wow, you put Footloose ahead of Batman?
I did.
I think Batman would be my number 2 on that list if I were to include it.
All right.
Man,
I don't know. I think I was. You know, I think I had seen Footloose one time in my life before watching it again, and I was surprised at how much I enjoyed it. So maybe it's just a little glow from after watching it.
Sure, I think that's fair. I think that's good. Whew, that was fun. I can't wait. So what are we going to do next? What are we contemplating doing for a marathon? Yes. Why don't you tell the kids? What are we thinking of doing?
Well, so if you've a long-time listener of the show, which I know everybody is, every now and again, Chris and I will come across something where he'll say something is fantastic and it's part of the canon of cinema, and I'll say, I haven't seen it. And the same thing will happen with Chris, and, you know, we both stare angrily at each other and just scoff because we just cannot believe we claim to be movie buffs and we haven't seen certain things. So we're going to come up with a list and try and see, I don't want to call it the great unwatched, but things that we should have seen but we haven't, the gaps in our viewing history.
Mm-hmm. And I think we should go just 5 though this time. I don't know if 10 is a little wieldy.
It is a little wieldy. Yes, you're right.
So we'll go with 5 this time, and we already have one of them picked out. I don't know. I think we should save it for next week. Let's just say it's a huge embarrassment for both of us. We have one of them already set, and then we're going to come up with our own list, and then come up with 5. Well, I guess 4 more outside of that. So you'll be able to tune in next week to find out what those all are. In the meantime, check us out. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Just do a search for The First Run. And also at thefirstrun.com. Watch the live recording of the show on YouTube. We have a channel there as well. And that's it. Shoot us an email. feedback@thefirstrun.com. I am desperate for some type of contact.
Please give Chris some reason to keep living.
Exactly. Thank you. So that's a big show for this week. We're going to take an extended break, though, and we'll see you all soon. Bye. Take care. Bye.
She gonna do a superhero landing. Wait for it. Woo! Superhero landing. Yeah, that's really hard on your knees. Totally impractical. They all do it.